dealing with. Let's talk about cops. So, as you know, I hate the police. I think police are evil incarnate. If there's anybody in this world that, is just true, unadulterated evil, it's every single police officer. Exhibit 74,974. Michigan deputy arrested after allegedly torturing and killing a service dog. The deputy confessed to killing the dog and leaving its body in a ditch. A Michigan sheriff's deputy was arrested on a felony charge for torturing and killing his service dog after the animal allegedly nipped him. So, this is something I want to talk about here. Like, police dogs, like, I know there's, like, a lot of, like, propaganda that tries to sell police dogs as a good thing to the public. You know, like, when the dogs go out there and then, like, they, like, jump on someone's lap, and then it's like, oh, he's a good boy, he's hard at work, and all that propaganda garbage. But, did you know that when cannabis became legal in several states in this country, there were lots of dogs that were trained to hunt down the smell of marijuana? They were literally tortured and trained to track down and basically, get upset at anyone that smelled like marijuana. That's torture, right? An arbitrary plant that you've trained the dog to despise, right, then becomes legal. So what do they do with all these dogs, right? A lot of the cases, they put them down, they murder them, they kill them, right? Because rehoming them is a little difficult, especially, what if you go to the pound, you get a dog, and then they hate weed and assault you over weed because they're a police dog and they were tortured into, being that way. It's like the remember that dude who, like, trained his dog to, like, Heil Hitler or something? That's basically what cops do, but, like, with thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of innocent animals. It's a mass torture program. It's abuse. It's enslavement of animals. It's disgusting. And every single police officer who ever works with dogs is an animal abuser and belongs in jail. And this is just one example of police not treating dogs with respect. But again, you can look it up. One of the biggest murderers of dogs in this entire country is actually the police department. The police kill more dogs than almost any other organization in this country. Why? Oh, well, because when they're no longer useful, they have to be destroyed. They have to be eradicated from this planet because they just, typically they don't rehome them because, why? Well, because they expose the dogs to trauma. They expose the dogs to assault and very traumatic situations, and it makes it very hard for them to adjust to civilian life. So again, I want to talk about that. But also, I want to talk about this fucking scumbag piece of garbage. Jacob Wilkinson was apprehended Monday and was terminated from his post at the Genesee County Sheriff's Office after the decomposed dog was discovered in a ditch, duct taped with bullet holes in its head. Again, I want you to understand that this is the mind of a cop. This is how police act. They're depraved. Like, they would treat, like, I would say that this is not any sort of specific animal abuse. This is how police treat regular human beings as well, right? So it's just innate when it comes to cops. When you are a cop, you are a psychopath. You are a violent savage. You're an uncivilized, fucking disgusting fucking loser. All cops are evil. All cops are uncivilized, fascist, garbage can men. The former deputy allegedly shot the dog 3 times and tossed it in a ditch, MLive reported. But the animal's corpse was covered in snow during the winter weather and was not found until March 24th. There was a time somewhere between September, October-ish when he was trimming the dog's nails and the dog nipped at him. So he was trimming the dog's nails, didn't know how to do it properly, right? Because they're not trained. They don't care about the dog's safety and well-being. The dog was like, ah! And then the cop was like, oh, I'm just going to murder you. I'm just going to murder you. Sheriff Christopher Swanson said in a Facebook video Wednesday. What's with cops and doing Facebook videos, by the way? And that guy thought he had enough control over the dog that you're not going to do that, so he duct taped the rear legs of the dog, duct taped the front legs of the dog, duct taped the muzzle. Animal control officers performed a necropsy an animal autopsy, and found the dog was microchipped, police said. The Detroit Animal Care and Control had sent the dog to local humane society, where they transferred it to an organization that allows Michigan inmates to help train dogs as part of a therapy program. Wilkinson, who had helped the dog through its training process, adopted the canine after its training was completed. Wilkinson was a correction officer for the Michigan Department of Corrections at the time, but was working for the Genesee County Sheriff's Office when the dog was discovered. Some people talk about the blue line. There ain't no blue line when it comes to right and wrong, the sheriff said in a video. I love this. Oh, there is no blue line when it comes to animal abuse. Meanwhile, guess what? Literally every single police dog is abused, because in order to become a police dog, they need to go through abuse. That is literally how they train police dogs, via abuse. They train them in order to hate certain things or certain kinds of people, hate certain smells, right? They literally make it impossible for them to actually be able to be integrated in society with their training methods, right? So I just want to be very clear. This is some bullshit. When a cop is trying to tell you, oh, this guy killed a dog, therefore he is the worst thing ever, right? Now keep in mind, cops kill human beings, and police don't say this kind of stuff, right? Police in Michigan, not the same county, but police in Michigan in Grand Rapids just killed someone, shot him in the back of the head as he was running away from them. And what did the police say? Oh, well, we feared for his life and all this and that. So they literally treat, at least rhetorically, they treat dogs better than human beings, right? So, and now again, in actuality, police are one of the largest mass manufacturers of canine death in this entire country, right? So they're garbage. If you're a dog fan, you should hate the police. Anyone that likes dogs and likes police is a fucking moron, and they're also a tacit dog abuser. This system needs to be dismantled entirely. But once again, isn't it insane that they literally want to act as if, oh, yes, oh, this is wrong. This is a goddamn thin blue line. It ain't thick enough. It's a goddamn thin blue line. Investigators interviewed Wilkinson, who confessed to killing the dog and leaving its body in a ditch. A warrant was issued, blah, blah, blah. Was released on $10,000 personal recognizance bond. However, the conditions of his bond are that he cannot possess guns or animals. Again, this is not an outlier. I want to be very clear that this is not an outlier. That's the important part of the story. This is not an outlier. Right? Now, again, police, what is the concept of putting a dog down? Right? Seriously, let's be honest. Let's be real here. Right? One of the largest organizations in America that, quote, puts dogs down is the police. Right? So what's the difference between putting a dog down when they're completely healthy and you torture them and train them to hate certain things and people and be unable to integrate into civilian life, right? So you manufacture their disabilities, right? You manufacture hatred, torture, right? The ability to attack people, right? You put that inside the dog's brain. It wasn't there to begin with, right? You train the dog to be unable to integrate with society. And then again, when states legalize cannabis, for example, what do you do with all these dogs that are trained to attack and bite people for smoking weed? Well, you got to put them down, right? In other instances where police put the dog down. So I just want to be very clear. There is no difference between training a dog to hate certain kinds of people and then putting them down when that hatred is no longer tenable and duct taping them and shooting them in the head. There really is no difference, right? Because they, again, in this instance, they take a perfectly healthy, happy dog and they train them to be a disgusting creature for violence and fascism. And then when they are no longer useful, they murder them. It's that simple, right? So again, it really needs to be understood that cops are garbage when it comes to police. This is no exception. This is not an outlier. This is just one where the violence was not written off by the board, right? They didn't get everyone to sign the proper paperwork when they performed the violence this time around, and that's the only reason why they act like this. And isn't it fucking crazy that the police chief values the life of an animal ostensibly, again, in their speech? We all know the truth, actually, because they murder animals and torture them on a daily basis. But isn't it interesting how, rhetorically speaking, he values lives of animals more than human beings? In my opinion, these motherfuckers are crazy. Police are gangsters, they are thugs, they are criminals, they are fascists. There is no such thing as a good cop, and the sooner you realize that, the sooner we can actually have grown-up conversations about how systems work in this country and what they produce.